마하파냐 파라밀다 신경과한 자제 보살 행심파냐 파라밀다 시조교온 개공조 일체고액 사리자 색불이공 공불이색 색축시공 공축시색 수상행시요 부요시 사리자시 제법공상 불생불묘 불구부정 부정불감 시고 공중무색무 수상행식무 아니비소센우에 무색송향 미촉법 무안개내지 무의식계 무무명욕 무무명진 내지 문어사욕 문어사진 무후고집묘도 무지욕 무득 이무소두코 보리살타 우에 파냐 파라밀다 코심무가에 무가에고 무유공포 월린전도 몽상국양 열반 삼세제부의에 반야 파라밀다 주축솔주아 아제 파라 아제 파라 숭아제 보리사바하 아제 파라 숭아제 보리사바하 아제 파라 숭아제 보리사바하 마하파냐 파라미. Hi everyone, good morning. It is not going to be morning by the time I upload this, but right now it is. It's Monday morning. It's Easter Monday, so yesterday and Saturday ended up being a lot more packed full of stuff than I had anticipated. Yeah, it was crazy. I got a Costco membership and on Saturday and then went, it was just long. So I didn't get to my reading yesterday, but honestly today feels a lot better. I'm not sure why. It could be the weather. It's probably the weather. So today's the 13th of April. And again, I apologize for being a week late. It's just, there's no schedule in quarantine in Natalie's world. So keeping things on track is just, it's a movable feast at this point. And I'm really just rolling with it. So I appreciate everyone's patience. That was the Heart Sutra. And this time I used my Moktak with it because I knew I was going to do it. There was a request last week for more chanting. There have been a couple of requests for videos about meditation and chanting, so I'm going to get on that. For today, I felt like a good one to work with is the Spacious Tarot. So we'll be working with Spacious Tarot for the reading. I will also pull a fine line for us from the Fine Lines meditation cards, so we get a sense of what it is we're working with this week. And we'll finish with Manifesting Your Greatness by Amy Chase, published by Schiffer. Red Feather. So, yeah, I will be focusing the reading this week, obviously, on just how do we cope, how do we how do we find spirit, strength, inner strength, spiritual strength, etc., and what are the things that we need to do that are going to be helpful to us. So that is going to be where the great focus of the week comes from. Wow, you can really see the sun kind of like coming out and then going back and coming out, coming. Sunrooms, fun times. Okay, so y'alls, let us change the camera angle around here and we can get started. Okay, so it's our little lavender candle to bring a little calm and peace into the spice. That was sandalwood incense, by the way. I don't know what this brand is. It's a Tibetan style incense, which is funny. Oh, it's made in Nepal. It came with a Tara statue that I just enshrined. So I don't really know much about it, which is funny because this is Korean. This is from Korean Zen. Okay, I had a quick little cutaway there so that we could just get straight to it. Here is our Fool this week. Again, being willing to take a blind flying leap into space and trust that everything will be okay. All right, so that is our significator. I'm going to mix it back in. I always just know. Okay. So this week we are in the swords pile. So when we find our significator in the swords pile, it essentially means that our sources, gotta slow down the brain here, Nat. We may be dealing with conflict. That's obvious. It's also about state of mind. So I'm not surprised because I asked about, what can we be doing for ourselves to stay, mentally healthy, mentally and spiritually healthy and strong, and so forth. I'm not surprised that this would come up. Something else that I forget, because so far anyway, we've navigated our conflicts relatively smoothly, is that a lot of people, a lot of us, are in quarantine right now and having to manage a lot of conflict with partners and family members and roommates and people with whom we spend time with in quarantine. Many would say excessive amounts of time with. And, a lot of people are in isolation, completely alone. So having some ability to look at how to cope with the mental slings and arrows that are coming up around a lot of us is really crucial, and I feel very critically important here. Another thing this can represent, and most often does represent, although I'm not feeling that as strongly this week, is that the swords pile can tell us a lot about who we are in the world. It can talk to us a bit about our purpose in the world. If we're leaders in our community in some way, it can offer us guidance about how that is, how that kind of energy is best used. Yeah, and ultimately the solution to any kinds of conflicts and things that come up this week is going to happen through thinking. So instead of needing to be more in our bodies, we need to pause and think. You know, pause is the key word. It's hard to do. It can be very, very uncomfortable to do. We don't like to pause very much when we're nervous, right? Fight, flight, and freeze are really, really powerful instincts for most of us. And when it takes over, and believe me, I suffer from this too. I mean, who doesn't? You know, when it takes over, it's so powerful. It's hard to see what's even happening until it's moved on, right? Until it's calmed itself down. So the more time we can devote to calm and ease, I'm just going to move this here because I will probably arrange around it anyway. I think the more goodness we're going to find. Right. So we're starting with the Fool. And I decided to go, anti-clockwise. It feels right at the moment because we're dealing with so many things that are, counter to the natural flow that we're all accustomed to. So it feels right. So the Fool is an elemental card worth 3, a count of 3. There are 4 elements, but Earth is assumed here. So 1, 2, 3. So we're starting with the 10 of Pentacles. How fascinating. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. And the Explorer of Cups. Ooh, I'm knocking them all out of place. That bothers me. Okay. Explorer of Cups. That's a Knight. So that is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eek. Okay, 10 of Wands. Interesting. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 7 of Cups. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Child of Pentacles. Pages count as 7s. The child is representative of a page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks like a 2 of Wands here. Yeah, yes, it is 2 of Wands. So 1, 2, beautiful. High Priestess, one of my favorite cards in the whole deck. I think the one that got me to purchase the deck. So the HP is a planetary card representing the moon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Elder of Swords. We got a big reading this week, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. It had that like ending feel to it, and I thought, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're done. It's funny how over time working with this spread that has really started to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and double check our counting, and I will see you, unless there's a problem, of course, I will see you from the next angle. Okay, so as you can see, we're mostly in frame here. It's harder to do with 8 cards. That's the only thing. So I already went ahead and drew from the Fine Lines Meditation cards. If you don't know this deck, it's by a community member here and a friend. It's by Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes, and it's a really, really wonderful deck. It's published by Gamecrafter, or printed by Gamecrafter. So getting a hold of it at the moment is just not possible because of the closures, because I know Gamecrafter is not open right now. When they are, though, I highly recommend this deck. It is absolutely wonderful. So the card for this week, or the theme, is busy versus overwhelmed, which is very interesting, especially with these two tens in the deck. The two tens tell us a little bit here about some busyness, and I feel definitely that the Seven of Cups is telling us about that, you know, a little bit of overwhelm, and then I feel like we're getting some really nice advice with the potential of ending in a place of greater empowerment with this Elder of Swords, which I think is out of shot, but, you know, the journey of the week looks like one of growth overall, as opposed to, you know, we're moving from starting with a Ten of Pence, which honestly, who wouldn't take that? It's a very auspicious card. And the Explorer of Cups, so a Knight and a 10, and we've gone to a High Priestess and a King or an Elder. So it leaves us in a good position, in a very, very solid position. Two kind of watery cards here represented. The two wands are opposite one another in a really fascinating and wonderful way. And then, of course, the Seven of Cups and the Child of Pentacles are balancing one another in a way that I think is very, very interesting indeed. So let's just take a look at this overall. The Ten of Pentacles is so fascinating to me at this moment and at this time. You know, these are... This card, of course, the first one in this particular spread, always represents sort of a major theme that comes up in the rest of the spread. And the two cards, or the one card in the middle, additionally gives us a very central place to focus our energy. When I look at this, you know, and when we look at this concept of being busy versus overwhelmed, and I'm someone who can easily find myself on either side of this line. Yeah, very, very easily find myself, at least certainly on the overwhelmed side of this fine line. And in fact, let's put it here so we can see it. Come on now. Doesn't want to cooperate. Here we go. Yeah, what this is telling me is that with our Ten of Pentacles, we have everything we need. When we come down to it at the basis, you know, the resources that we need, the ability to have what we need is more possible than we realize right now. I say that knowing that the vast majority of the people watching this are not struggling with food insecurity at this moment, and may or may not be struggling with a huge amount of financial security. It's a delicate thing at the moment. It's a really delicate thing. You know, the Ten of Pentacles should be telling us, in theory, that we have everything, that we don't want for anything, that my brain is spinning with this one. It's hard to verbalize. But essentially, you know, the things that we need, the things that we want, the things we require, even if they're in short amount, I feel like we're being asked to reevaluate how we look at that. You know, what is the perspective we're using to view that from? And then to apply that to our lives. So regarding health, right? Even if you are sick, you know, are you noticing that despite being sick, you can witness that your body is somehow miraculously able to really fight and find a way to heal itself? If you are someone who is struggling with money, you know, that may be difficult, but are you able to get your basic needs met? Do you have enough to eat? And by basic, I mean, do you have enough to eat? And do you have all of the medicines and things that you need, right? Because let's face it, rent, mortgages, car payments, those kinds of things, you know, I'm running towards the end of my savings. And I have not been able to file for unemployment because I can't get on the website. So, you know what I mean? These things they're looming. But the truth of the matter is I have most of my needs met and I can still pay my bills for the moment, right? So as we look at these kinds of, I don't know how, as we look at our perspective on that, it's worth thinking about what we actually have. And then possibly with this Explorer of Cups, finding a way to reevaluate, right? There may be a shift of perspective emotionally in how we value things. And then maybe how we feel, a sense of gratitude for what we have. Yeah. In what ways can we be grateful for what's here now, right? And I'm going to say that we want to try that instead of the longing, right? The longing for that depth, the trying to find that one thing that's going to fulfill all of our missing whatever it is that can so easily come up. It's an unhelpful pattern. But finding a way to be grateful for what we do have and to shift focus toward reevaluating, keeping in mind we're in the swords pile, we're in a mental space. This is in the body and in the emotions. So can we lift the emotions to a higher level through the perspective that we have, right? Of our financial state, the state of our mind, or of our body, minds, and getting all of our physical needs met, because this is telling us that we have more available than what we realize. I would say too, if you really are someone who's struggling and in a very difficult place right now, where can you reach out, right? Where can you reach out and ask for what you need? Okay. This will be especially challenging to take on. We may find ourselves in that place of seeking the thing that we want, or wanting to escape, right? Go away. This is a fishy coming down from the surface of the water and escaping, because there's a lot of a sense of burden right now. This 10 of Wands is a lot. It's a lot to carry. It's a lot to be with. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good. There's a lot on our plate right now, right? And then when we get to this 7 of Cups, the choices of, like, what do I put down? What do I let go of, right? The choices are overwhelming. And this 7 of Cups, for me, this is a really specific 7 of Cups. This is not our usual, like, oh, look at all these magical possibilities that involve illusion and so forth. This one tells me about, like, the fear that comes from making the wrong choice. It's a very, very specific take on making choices, right? And it really informs me about the burden felt, by overwhelm, where, oh, it's here, there it is. The sense of overwhelm and the desire to escape. This also tells me, this Explorer of Cups tells me that, along with this one, that if in the midst of all of this, we can root ourselves back in the body and in the heart, right? We will have what we need to manage the burden and make a choice, okay? And part of doing that is going to be letting go of fear and being willing to trust. Okay. So as we move through the week, the key to letting go of that fear of, what choice do I make? What thing do I do next? What things do I put down? What if it's the wrong one? What if it's not enough? What if it's a choice that really destroys the balance, etc.? We need to calm our bodies. And I'm going to say, it's interesting, we're in the Swords pile this week, which tells us about mind and thinking. But this is the Child of Pentacles. But what I see in this Child of Pentacles is that this little bear, this cute little sweet cub, is sitting down. It's calmed itself. It's sitting down outside in this pretty spring meadow. And it is contemplating what it has right now. Okay. So in order to cope, in order to move forward, and in order to know what we need to do to move forward, there has to be a relaxing, a calming, and a letting go, ironically. So this is ultimately, this Seven of Cups is in its own way kind of a delusion, right? The fear that comes up around what do I put down, um, and around being, feeling burdened, resetting priorities and so forth. That fear itself is an illusion that blocks us from the truth of the simplicity and the ease and the possibilities around us. But the only way to let go of this, right? The only way to move forward from this is to find a way to become grounded, right? To re-anchor in the body. So maybe going outside, get outside, move outside, put on a mask, get ready to tell people to stay 10 feet away, 6 feet away. In our neighborhood, people have been staying more like 10 to 20 feet away, which is fine with me. It's important to get a different perspective. And I'm going to say most of us need to go outside. Get outside your house, get outside your comfortable environment. And that will become the key to being able to move forward, okay? And shift that dynamic from overwhelmed to busy, and busy creating what you want. The key is going to be having enough patience once you've found a different space to reset, recognizing that moving forward immediately, it may not be possible, right? The Two of Wands starts to tell us what is possible, what is available, what, we got a black and white here. What's more life-giving and life-affirming, life-supporting? What may be less life-affirming and life-supporting? There's also a wonderful kind of yin-yang quality here. We've got the white set against the dark background. So finding that and rebalancing, right, that light amidst what you see as being dark. And then seeing perhaps the opposite, right, in that same kind of dichotomy. The darkness or the less advantageous side of what would otherwise seem, to be great. Neither is very easy to do sometimes. But, getting a sense of balance, will come out of, or a greater sense of balance, priority, and perspective, which is what this one tells me, will come from taking this time to pause and just focus on the one thing in a very open, vulnerable, I almost want to say like wonder-filled, that kind of the perspective of a child. Look around. Look around at all of the things in the space that's here. Certainly if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's spring. So there are all these beautiful changes to the environment. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you're moving into the autumn. Similarly, they're both periods of great change. So what are the things that you see in the physical realm that are different? And anchor yourself there without thinking about it, overthinking about it, just by noticing, like, what do you see? What do you see in the space immediately around you? Do you see dandelions and grape hyacinths? I do. They're beautiful. Yeah. So that will help us restore a sense of balance and understanding in our lives of what needs to happen next. Ironically, these are the two pillars kind of, that we would see on a traditional High Priestess card. Isn't that interesting? With that Two of Wands. Yeah, as we find this balance, I'm going to say holding that, we've got that High Priestess here that comes after this card. I think what this card is telling us too is that we've got to hold the space in between, in between the good, the bad, the dark, the light, In other words, we've got a high calling, guys. We're being asked to transcend duality a little bit here, meaning that we are less attached to it. It doesn't mean that we don't see it. It doesn't mean that it's not real. It just means that we're able to see both and see it with less attachment. Okay, and when we do that, it gives us more of the space that we need inside of ourselves. It opens up that space inside that is full of wisdom, that's full of intuition, that's full of possibility. Full of possibility. And as we do that, as we find that possibility within ourselves through the quiet, through realigning the physical body, that will give us greater balance, greater intuition, and a clearer mind. You know that moment when you felt really confused? It's usually like just a little moment of like, oh, I just turned the corner. That I sometimes get that when I've gone through like the mental fog of the first 4 cards here, right? The like, I know I should, whatever it is, feel better, feel more grounded and stable, feel more grateful for things, but I'm so freaking overwhelmed right now. I'm so afraid of making the wrong decision. I hardly know what to do. Okay, fine, I'll go outside and get some space. Oh, wow, I feel different. I'm walking around, I'm breathing. I'm in my body. I can feel a difference in temperature outside. Things that get us back into a grounding, okay? As these things start to rebalance, and it's usually not mental, right? It's usually physiological, it's alchemical. That begins to put me back into this space, and it will oddly, through the regrounding, put me back in charge. Where suddenly my rational mind is like, ta-da, this is what it is. And I have the ability to see the overall perspective and to make a very specific decision or choice of what this is a double-edged sword, right? What stays in, what has to be let go of. And it's very, like the card, very simple and very spacious. Okay. So that looks to be the journey of the week. Okay, let's just see. Let's just see what we get from manifesting your greatness. I'll draw a card and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is our manifesting your greatness card. It is time. All right. So these decisions, there are a lot of them that are coming up in the coming week. It is time to start paring things down, recognizing what's necessary to hang on to, what's necessary to let go of. And it's time to come back to the body. It's time to realign ourselves with nature a little bit more, right? That's happening on a bigger level, like a greater, wider level. I feel, at least with some people in some communities. I mean, those of us who are already already considering it and contemplating it are not surprised. We're sort of already on board. But I feel like it's, this is going to become more and more apparent as we move on. It's time, it's time, it's time. So what do we need to do to cut and shift the overwhelm? I also feel like this card is telling us not to, it's so easy to get caught here on this side of the, it's like this. We've got this like dynamic split here between the halves of the reading today. It's very easy to get caught up and stay here, right? It's very easy. It could also be, it just occurred to me looking at this could also be, well, I have everything I need. And I wonder if I may be in this category, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I have everything I need, so why do I need to make any decisions? It's so comfortable to be down here under the surface, not really fully participating in normal everyday activities in any form, even an abbreviated or adapted form, because, it's so comfortable in my emotional heart space. Right? I feel so good here. I'm okay. Because when I come up to surface for air, it feels really overwhelming. And then I wonder like, oh no, I'm going to have to be forced into making choices that I don't want to have to make. In that case, if you're that person, and I will say fully, I'm totally that person. I'm totally that person. Coming back to that, don't lose the innocence. Don't lose the gratitude. But go outside, reground, reestablish, get the balance, find out where that center point is. At least spiritually, right? So that the intuition is restored, the inner sense of spaciousness is restored, and the ability to be rational, make rational, well-considered opinions in a way that's balanced and fair and that takes into view the whole picture can be made. All right, I think we've covered every possible iteration of these cards, so I hope at least one of them, one of the interpretations is something that helps to resonate, that helps you resonate with what to do next. Okay, and in the meantime, I wish everybody tremendous love and peace. And the sort of all-accomplishing wisdom and capacity of the green Tara, who does it from a place of being utterly balanced and relaxed, and yet can seem to get all of it done. All right. Great love to everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.